Hey everybody, this is your Right Geek, honorary man king, and leader of the Awkward Cough Squad, here for another weekly video. Today I would like to recommend 3 independent comics that I read over the past week that I think all of you should read as well. So the title of my presentation here is Don't Sleep on These! Independent comic recommendations from the Right Geek. So the first of the comics that I would like to recommend is one that was actually recommended by Wes from Thinking Critical. After watching his video, several of his videos in which he discussed this and thought it was one of the best comics of 2020, I went ahead and I read it myself, and I agree with his assessment. I think that this comic is, in fact, a very good comic that everyone should read. Don't sleep on it. Go out and get it today. I believe the trade paperback is available at this point because all of the issues have been released. And basically, what the premise of this is this is a kind of interstellar society in which uh, the characters are all bots of various kinds. And when you are convicted of a capital crime, you get linked to 3 other criminals who have also been convicted of capital crimes through something called the Killlock, in which if one of the people in your 4 gets killed, then you all get killed at the same time. So you're basically stuck together. Just you 4 criminals are all stuck together, and in order to survive, you have to make sure that everyone else in your group survives. So the 4 characters in this book are linked together by this Killlock. The wrinkle here is that one of the characters is in fact innocent. One of the characters is uh, essentially an unfinished bot who basically is written basically like a retarded child, essentially. So he's completely innocent. The only thing that he's there for is the fact that he was essentially made wrong. And apparently, this is a society in which being made wrong is not tolerated. So the other 3 characters, realizing that this 4th character is in fact innocent and does not deserve to die, they have to. They kind of get inspired. Well, at least 2 of the characters get inspired to protect this innocent fourth character from basically the ravages of the world that he doesn't truly understand because he is innocent and kind of slow. The other characters in the book, we have one bot who's kind of like this psychopathic engineer bot. He's very, very smart, but also very, very murderous. He basically thinks because he is so intelligent and because he has this engineering ability that he's above everyone else and basically is above any kind of moral consideration because he's just better than everyone else. And then we have one bot who is uh, um, he's a soldier from a war that was basically stamping out all heresy in this interstellar civilization. So he would basically represents like the religious authorities that were coming through, and wherever there was corruption and degradation, as the religious authorities understood it, his job was to go in and cleanse uh, all of that degradation. And he's an interesting character because uh, the way the story is told, the way his backstory is told, we see that he has, uh, he's got some level of doubt about what he does, which so that's very interesting to read. And probably my favorite character was the kind of laborer bot, who has an alcohol problem, and his alcohol problem led him to make a mistake that led to hundreds of deaths. And this one's kind of my favorite character. I really, really wanted sort of redemption for him. But unfortunately, the story ended too soon. So I was kind of sad when I got to the end of the graphic novel and we hadn't seen redemption for this for the alcoholic bot in particular. So I really want to see if Livio Ramondelli can write kind of a follow-up to this or a sequel to this, um, where we see some of the characters that look like they were setting up some sort of redemption plot. Let's see if we can actually get that redemption plot going. But anyway, this is a very good read. This is a very interesting read, and I definitely recommend it. The second one I would like to recommend this week is Huck by writer Mark Millar and artist Raphael Albuquerque. Basically, the premise of this is we have the title character here is super powered, but he's also kind of simple. He just works at a gas station, and everyone, like the way he's written, he's also kind of he's just retarded possibly or simple. He's not known for brilliance or intelligence. However, he is a very kind character who uses his superpowers basically just to be a common good Samaritan. Every day he wakes up and he thinks about at least one kind thing he can do for his neighbors using the powers that he has. And he writes it down in a book and crosses it off when he's done. The story of this book is that basically he helps someone and that someone gets excited and basically outs him to the outside world. Basically, he had been in hiding. Only the people in this local town where he lived knew of his abilities, and they kind of protected him from the outside world for the very good reason that he was likely to be taken advantage of, which we see kind of in the story when he gets outed that uh, people from the media and politicians and stuff like that start coming around and circling around him like vultures, seeing how they can use him to their own advantage. But he's very resistant to that because being as simple and as kind-hearted and as basically good as he is, the idea of self-interest never really crosses his mind. And it's kind of refreshing actually to read a story in which the main character is someone who does the right thing just because it is the right thing and not because he perceives he can get some sort of personal benefit out of it. It's just a very nice, very heartwarming story, and I think people who watch this channel would enjoy it a lot. So I definitely recommend this one as well. Um, and then lastly, I'd also like to recommend Stillwater by Chip Zdarsky, writer, and then Ramon Perez and Mike Spicer as the artists. The premise of this one is we basically have a small town out in the middle of nowhere in which one day basically everyone in the town became immortal. Like they didn't age. If you shot them in the heart, they would heal. They wouldn't die. You could in one of the issues, there's mention that you could behead someone and they would regrow a new body from the head. Like so there's no way that these people can die. And once they discovered that this was true about everyone in the whole town, the town basically gets locked down. So we have this town judge who's basically taken over this town essentially as a dictator and has locked it down so that no one can leave the town and no one from outside is welcome into the town because in the judge's mind, this is going to protect all the people in the town from being experimented on by scientists trying to figure out what's going on and why suddenly everyone here became mortal. So the town judge's motivation is basically to keep everyone in the town safe from the depredations of the outside world. However, there are many people in the town who disagree with this idea that we should just stay locked up in this town and never go anywhere and never let anyone in, because a lot of the people in the town have relatives that live outside the town that they have not been able to see for years because travel is essentially prohibited. And they're tired of having to explain to outside relatives, no, you can't visit, I'm sorry. Like so there's kind of this underground sort of rebellion building inside this town, of people who want to open the town up. They want to actually start living instead of being in this locked up, quote unquote, safe little bubble. So there's this and what kind of sets off the conflict of this is the main character of this book um, is someone who was smuggled out of the town when he was a kid, so that he could age. His mother believed that if he stayed in the town and was physically a 2-year-old for the rest of his life, that would not be fair to him. So she had him smuggled out of the town so he could actually age like a normal person. Um, and so this main character comes back to the town because he gets essentially summoned by a letter, discovers what's going on in the town and what the town is essentially, and he gets uh, wrapped up with the inner rebellion that is trying to open things up. So there's some interesting themes. Uh, there's some interesting themes in here about safety versus actually living that in current circumstances, I think many of my readers might find rather interesting to read. I would say the art in this is indie rough, but the story is good enough that um, that I can overlook a lot of the things that I find somewhat imperfect about the art. And I encourage you readers to definitely give it a try. I think this is also a very good, very interesting book. So those are my 3 indie recommendations for today. If you have any other books that you would like to recommend in the comments, books that you think I should read and possibly review in the future, please leave a remark below, and I will speak to you again next week.